We were supposed to just fly straight to Bora Bora. Instead, one missed flight turned into a California road trip, a surprise stay in Tahiti, and the trip of a lifetime in Bora Bora. So, normally I really wouldn't plan on going to French Polynesia. I mean, it's in the middle of the Pacific and most flights can be pretty pricey. But my grandmother used to be a flight attendant, and she's been kind enough to sign me up on a companion pass, so I get reduced fare tickets. Luckily, she worked for a great airline like Delta, so there's a bunch of choices and different destinations to go to. So again, why French Polynesia? The reason was because Delta was actually about to discontinue their line from Los Angeles to Tahiti, and if I didn't go now, I couldn't really get to French Polynesia without spending an arm and a leg. So I took some time off work, pulled the trigger on the flight, and set out on my route, attempting to fly from Miami to Atlanta, Atlanta to LA, and finally LA to Tahiti. But after getting into Atlanta, I realized that things aren't really going to go according to my initial plan. So one of the trade-offs of reduced fare tickets is that I have to fly standby, meaning that I only get the leftover seats on a plane that no one else had bought. The trouble was that in Atlanta, the flight to LAX was totally full. So we definitely weren't going to get on that flight to LAX, so we were going to improvise. Delta only flies direct to Tahiti 3 times a week. Waiting around was not an option. After some irritation and a lot of back and forth, we spotted a way out. A flight to San Francisco still had some seats open. Wasn't our original plan, but sometimes detours can make the story. We ended up landing in San Francisco and grabbed a rental car, determined to make the best of it. First stop, Chinatown, where the lanterns lit up the streets and the smell of roast duck pulled us straight into an incredible restaurant. We watched the sunset from the perfect spot to see the Golden Gate Bridge, with that red steel glowing orange in the sunset, and for a moment, it actually felt like the trip had already redeemed itself. We stayed the night at a nice hotel in San Francisco, and from there, we drove up into Napa Valley. Fresh cherries from a roadside stand, some delicious local cheese, and a long lunch at a Swedish spot with a family friend. It was a total change of pace, and the stress from Atlanta was melting away. Next came Highway 1, an iconic coastal drive. The ocean stretched endlessly to our right, the cliffs rising to our left, and seals are lounging on the rocks of Monterey's pier. My dad is also a huge fan of Clint Eastwood's Play Misty for me, so of course we stopped at the Sardine Factory, one of the film's primary locations, to take some pictures. We stayed overnight nearby, then in the morning wandered through Carmel by the Sea. It's a charming little town, almost too perfect, with some storybook cottages, boutique shops, and the kind of place where you want to buy a souvenir, but your wallet's really not going to be able to take it. Back on the road, Big Sur hit us with some of the most awe-inspiring views in the US, with crashing waves, jagged cliffs, and that endless stretch of blue. It was everything that we hoped for, until the road actually was closed. A rock slide had shut down Highway 1, forcing us to turn back for about a 2-hour drive north to end up cutting through the desert south on I-5. At first we were frustrated, but honestly, the drive ended up being amazing in its own way. And the desert reminded me of a lot of those nights I spent running GTA 5 with my friends, and I was kind of geeking out at how accurate GTA 5's map was to the feel of that area. By the time we rolled into Los Angeles, we were exhausted but proud of our detour. We grabbed some ramen at a Japanese chain that my girlfriend wanted to check out, and stayed at the historic Biltmore Hotel. The next morning, we started the day the right way, with Randy's Donuts. Finally, after all that improvising, we got into LAX, standing at the gate and realizing that we were actually going to board the flight to Tahiti, and that felt like a huge win. The real trip, the one that we had planned all along, was finally about to begin. When we got our seats assigned on the next flight to Tahiti, we were lucky enough to get seats right next to each other, even if we were towards the back of the plane. The flight was pretty long, running to be almost 9 hours, but it's not the longest flight I've been on, because it was a long-haul Delta flight, we had some food, and I have to say, their in-flight meals have definitely been getting better lately. After getting just a wink of sleep, we arrived in Tahiti in the late afternoon, and man, it was beautiful. Mount Orahana at Papeete was bathing in the golden light of the setting sun, and it was totally breathtaking. Not to mention how fun it was to be greeted by local Tahitians who were doing an authentic song and dance routine. After all was said and done, we got through immigration and booked the Tahiti Hilton Hotel with some Hilton Honors points. After we got settled a bit in our spacious and cozy room, we realized that we had to get a confirmed flight to Bora Bora for the next day to actually reach our final destination. We managed to get a booked flight on Air Tahiti, after which we got dressed up and headed out to dinner in Papeete. We found a restaurant called Maru Maru that served local French Polynesian cuisine, which ended up being a mind-blowing experience. Imagine mixing the decadent flavors of French cookery with the bright, fresh island flavors of Polynesia. For an appetizer, we had some delicious fried shrimp heads with a sweet and sour sauce. For the entree, I had an amazing sweet coconut creamy fish dish, while my girlfriend got a tangy mango coconut cream type of dish. For dessert, we probably had the best creme brulee we've ever had, with the absolute perfect ratio of brulee to actual custard ratio, as well as the most amazing vanilla taste I've ever experienced in any dish. So after we stuffed ourselves to the brim, we headed back to the hotel and turned in for the night. My Hilton Honors card came in clutch again because we had access to a delicious full breakfast buffet at the Hilton Tahiti where they had almost everything, from traditional breakfast items like omelets all the way to fresh local sashimi. Not to mention the fact that the restaurant was placed over a local reef teeming with colorful fish. It was super fun. After breakfast, we returned to the Papeete airport and got on our flight to Bora Bora. Now, flying in there was stunning. The beautiful landscape, paired with the most iridescent blue water I've ever seen to date, left me in awe of nature's beauty. Since we were flying standby and weren't sure if we would make it this far, we actually hadn't booked a hotel to stay at once we got into Bora Bora. So, once we landed at Bora Bora's tiny airport, I noticed that the only way off of it would be by taking a boat shuttle to your hotel. So I speed ran a booking at the Conrad Nui Resort with all my remaining Hilton points, and we set off on a beautiful boat ride to our last-minute resort. Once we stepped off the boat at the Conrad Nui, we were ushered into the reception area where we were told that we would receive an upgrade to a personal villa by the ocean. We couldn't believe how lucky we got after booking at the last minute, while we simultaneously had beautiful leis draped over our heads to welcome us. We got a tour of the whole property in a golf cart while the concierge explained all the activities and amenities afforded to us during our stay. He dropped us off at our room and we were stunned. A large open floor plan with high ceilings, a beautiful bed, and a gigantic bathroom with his and hers sides. And don't forget about the outdoor deck with a personal infinity pool. It was here that we knew our vacation was really about to begin. The next day, we got up and decided to explore the gorgeous property. There were plenty of free amenities on the property, like bikes to get around from place to place, kayaking around the property, and snorkeling to observe the local abundant wildlife in the well-maintained reefs. So we got to work, trying to do everything we could in the first day. And let me tell you, it was worth it and more. Kayaking around and underneath the overwater bungalows was a super unique experience, and being able to observe so many wild fish right on the property was unbelievable. After a ton of exploring, we got back to our room and passed out in the big and cozy bed. In the morning, we were woken up by some local roosters that were walking around outside of our villa. And lucky for us, with the time zone adjustments, we were fine waking up that early. We soon realized that my Hilton Honors card got us free breakfast, so we got dressed and headed out to the restaurant in the main longhouse to see another insane variety of delicious foods. After that, we got to work on signing up for a jet ski tour around the entirety of the island, as well as an excursion to swim with wild stingrays and sharks. At the end of the day, we decided to extend our stay at the Conrad Nui Resort by 2 days, and actually were able to upgrade to an overwater bungalow, since our first room wasn't available anymore. We walked around the bungalows that we enviously gawked at on our first day, and entered our beautiful vacation dream room. The next morning, we woke up and signed up for an early appointment at the spa and for parasailing lessons at sunset. The spa was incredible, nestled at the top of the island's hill, so we could overlook both the resort and Mount Otamanu. It was a great opportunity to refresh from all the activities and enjoy the moment. Then, parasailing at sunset was super hard to pick up, but our instructor was great. and we got to learn all the fundamentals of the sport in a safe and amazing place. Finally, we unfortunately had to go back home, and the staff at the resort graciously saw us off after giving us a lei of shells and helping us on our boat back to the airport. Luckily, at this point, everything went according to plan and we got back to Miami without missing any flights or getting fired from our jobs. This trip taught me that the best memories don't always come from the plans we make, but from the detours along the way. I discovered a love for French Polynesian flavors, rediscovered the beauty of home in the US, and experienced the wonder of Bora Bora. And through it all, I came to see that the journey isn't just part of the adventure, it is the adventure. Thank you for watching.